I'm Rob with Team Salmon Bay Paddle, and I last year tried this and didn't make it, and this year didn't make it either, but I'm not worried about it. Basically, I went on I was training for several months leading up to it, like many did, and with our local folks here, and went on a 30-mile paddle with Sean Norquist back there, our friend Liza, and some of the PT sub folks about a month ago, and we went from Eglon Beach up to PT. And I was having a good week that week, but basically during that paddle, while everyone was dusting me, because I was really on the slow side that day, basically I realized I'm sitting in the middle of Cape, or the cut between Cape Foulweather and Matt's Mass. Glassy, calm, unusually nice, beautiful day, and I realized I don't really care for the racing part. You know, this is a beautiful spot. I just want to be here. And my friends were quickly dusting me at the time, and I kind of came to a little epiphany at the time that I just like being here, but this race is forcing me to go to places I normally don't go to, and so that was 30 days before the race, and I kind of decided at that time to kind of back off a little bit. I also work as a paddleboard guide and kayak guide, so I also have to respect myself to the point where I can't kill myself to win and then have to work 2 days later, so it's in paddling. So anyway, long story, so backed off a little bit, and then I was supposed to get a board from some guys in PT. That's a splinter crew, had some carbon boards they were building. That didn't come through, so at the last minute I had to take an old board I had. That's 17-foot long board that a guy named Sean Thomas designed, that's local, an older paddleboard prototype that we were going to design at one point, and had to make it more race ready. And I come out of sea kayaking originally, and I'm into internal storage. So this board, we put a hatch in it basically. I put a hatch in front of my glass. We got the hatch, the container. We got a container from Fred Meyer, a plastic container, and popped it in the bow, glassed it over. Got a nice rubber hatch lid on top, and made it race ready for that purpose. And I also had gone on I did some training with Carl Kruger, the sup guy everyone's talking about, who came in early, up in Orcas twice this spring, and on that board I also had a huge bow or nose that was about 13 inches, which is pretty stout, and I was getting a lot of windage up paddling in 30 knots wind up in Orcas, so I cut that down 6 inches down. So this was 2 weeks before the race, and we were in my garage doing the best we can with the buddy of mine, trying to reduce the volume of this board down to make it more efficient, basically. So anyway, got that happen, and we were still glassing the board the day before the race, so luckily everything cured right, and but basically I decided I wasn't worried about finishing the race or any certain amount of time, because for me at a certain time I came across, again, the point of view I just enjoy touring, and so that's the angle I would take, and not worry about the end of it or what have you. But I think like others have mentioned, that for me going up the Cobos Passage and having bioluminescence under my nose for so many hours is pretty amazing. A lot of us here are Harry and Darrell here and Sean back there. We're all members of the Ballard Elks, and we have a very active paddling club there that we developed several years ago. But at the Elks, we have a strong maritime community there, a lot of liveaboards and captains and whatnot. So I did consult with a bunch of those guys before the race to get an idea of, like, the Cobos, which side should I be on at that tide level, and so on and so forth. So I got some good information, so I went up the west side, which is their suggestion. And it was great, because there was, I think during my period of going up the Cobos, there was only maybe one boat, some weird lighted boat behind me. I didn't know what it was. And someone way ahead of me, and on the east side is where everyone was at. It seemed to be where everyone was at. But it was fun because you could hear everyone sing, the row. I'm assuming we're rowers of some sort, singing sea chantings over on the other side. And there was some boat there that had music going, which was annoying, but nonetheless, it was fun to hear people chit-chat, a good mile to the east, as if they're 10 feet behind you, and just seeing the lights moving up and all that. So that was pretty amazing. So I hit Blake around 1:30, I think, and then and after all that solitude, I got to Blake and then to the designated beach. I planned to maybe do a pee stop or get into the heated bathrooms everyone was talking about. But I think Harry had mentioned the showers and all that. But I got there and then I saw maybe 50 headlamps at the beach, all crazy, and people chit-chatting and boats scraping along the shore, and it was just looked chaotic. And it's like I don't want that. I just did 6 hours through this beautiful, quiet-ish Cobos Passage, and I saw that, and I had some good positive current, even though it's flooding around the lake. And I don't want to deal with that chaos, so I skipped lake and just shot around with this current that was kicking around the island. Bumped into Shaw Northwest. I was doing a little water break north of there, and he passed me up. But crossed over the Restoration, super glassy, popped inside the little rock spit there. Got up past Eagle Harbor and began to start to fall asleep on the board, which was a new one for me. It's like getting a little shut eye there. And I pulled in north of Wing Point, and there was a great little. I was looking for in the past I'd always curious about crossing over and camping over on Bainbridge, but in a guerrilla camping spot. Faye's I'm not a big fan of Faye as a park, and so those cliffs on the east side of I think it's Sunrise Drive that have there's just a large strip of greenbelt there, and look on Google Earth or just paddle over there. There's just like cool beaches. So I found a cool little spot. That was a little interesting driftwood that was sticking off the shore. Her house is above, about 100 feet above, and I found a cool little driftwood sort of box with a sandy bottom, and I thought that's a good little bivouac spot, and popped in there and slept for 2 hours to kind of time out the ebb, to wait for that, and saw the sunrise popping up over North Seattle before I dozed off in my baby bag there. Woke up about 2 hours later, and here you are, what you feel is a remote beach, and there's a good half a mile of beach there, and I hear a boat landing right in front of me, and I think it's an artful sailor, and it's just kind of funny. I don't. You think you're in a remote place, and the boat lands right there in front of you, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't see you," so it's kind of funny, but and I started. Getting going again, but it was foggy in the morning, and I think Harry and I had talked earlier today about maybe I should have stayed in my baby bag because now it's cold and I got to put my wet sandy booties back on, and I get cold, I'm on blood thinners, so I was getting pretty chilly there at the moment. And I did have a little moment there where West Point, which is our home waters, was 3 miles across, and there's a little moment of I could just pop over there and be in my hot tub in about 2 hours. But so I continued, and it was in the light. That light that morning was really nice, and so I just headed north and kind of fought that urge to bail. And I just headed north, and like maybe saw some porpoise up in the Squamish in the little bay there, and up there, and had a funny moment. I pulled into Kingston to get some water at the marina there, and I pulled it into what I thought was the guest moorage, and the guy runs out and he says, "Get off my fuel dock." He's yelling at me.
Oh man!
I want you down that dock over there. Like I just paddled 40 miles and he wanted me to, but it was pretty funny. Got my water there, and there's like a folk festival going on. I walked through that with my wetsuit on to find a bathroom. So, tried to, and it was pretty funny. But and then headed north, and then everyone's talking about freightaways. And some of you guys know here that I teach freightaway surfing classes right down the road here. So we time the freighters through main traffic and get waist to chest high waves breaking 700 yards offshore, and they're pretty good on the bar just outside of Salmon Bay where all the boats get stuck in the summertime. So north of Kingston, of Apple Tree Cove or Point, there's a kind of a shelf there, and some boats had gone by. It wasn't even a freighter, but there were waist high waves coming in, and I was getting tired at this point. I tried to convince myself that I just need to ignore the waves and use my energy to continue forward. But after a while, they were getting pretty good, and they're breaking 100 yards offshore. Really perfect little peelers coming along. So at one point, I had to take a wave, and then go. So if you look, if I had look at the track, I was probably going this way, and then I go back this way to hard left to surf. I did two sets. and then headed north again. And so I had to break up the straightforward thing a little bit, but then we kept on going up there, and Pilot Point took a little break there. Maybe TMI, but I was much like the peeing stories. I basically the sun was coming out then. I pulled over and I had a wetsuit on, so I was going to switch it out, and I realized there's no one around because that's that section between north of Kingston and Point Oh Point where there's hardly no development. There was like one low housing development where a guy came out and told me he was tracking us and all this, but beyond that there was nothing there. So I was switching off my wetsuit, I was in the buck, and I realized I could just stand here, no one cares, It's like a nudist beach or something, so. But then there was a guy in a spinnaker coming in towards me, so I quickly put my stuff back on again. But it was kind of funny. But then I got to a point where standing up, I was getting an extreme amount of pain behind my neck back here. There's something going on back there. I sit down a lot because with my kayaking background, I have a good stroke with that, but my lower back started hurting. So I got to a point I just petered out. I was just fried basically, and got to Point No Point. My partner Christy happened to be there hanging out, and we chit-chatted. She was egging me on, but I was just totally depleted, knowing that this week I have 5 days of guiding ahead as well. Because I've been doing 6 miles a day on kayak guiding this week, so I had to preserve myself for that. And then while I was contemplating at the beach, Point No Point, that the north wind jacked up right then. So I went from glassy-ish to, hey, she's like, hey, just right there, another 20 miles, no big deal, to that north wind going up, and like, okay, we're done. So I went over to the Hansville store and got my favorite chocolate milkshake there. So called it done, and I'm not worried about it. To me, it was just, pretty amazing experience, all the different types of people. A lot of us around here, we're kind of in a SUP community. We're always around SUPs only for the most part, and minus a few other races I put on. And it's great to just be paddling along next to all this interesting craft, or wacky craft in some cases. And it's just, that experience of going up to Cobos and the night paddling, bioluminescence under bow for so many hours at a time. So the ruckus and all the characters that show up for that, and it's that whole scene. So I have no regrets at all, and I probably won't do it next year, but if I do, I did buy a surf ski recently. I'm going to go back to my background of doing sit down more. My legs are getting a little trashed from doing so much stand up, so it's so if I do it, I'm going to do it on something a lot more easier, more efficient, less hard than the sub thing, but see you and play it by ear probably. So
all right.
yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.